Okay, I hope you can hear me now. Lovely. It went off. I don't even know. Anyway, so welcome to yet another life lesson right here on Learn English with Ruth. And my name is Ruth and I'm an English teacher. Please, mind the picture at the back. I'm using the music lab wherever I am to shoot this video. So please do not, mind it or anything. And I'm going to be glancing occasionally to ensure that my microphone doesn't go off. Yes, because it happens sometimes. Okay, so in the previous live session that we had, I talked about, I introduced you to the world of improving on your pronunciation as a teacher, not just an English teacher, but whatever teacher you are. You could be a civics teacher, social studies, mathematics, history, whatever subject you are a teacher in. It's important that your pronunciation is top notch. And so I remember, I'm just going to do a little recap and then I'm going to go into what I have for today. Now, I remember in the last class, I talked about the need for you to improve on your pronunciation personally and towards your students. I said that personally, it's because it's about your personal development. It's about the impressions that you're going to make, the people you're going to meet. You're going to walk into rooms, and it's important that your words flow effortlessly as well as have the right pronunciations. And secondly, I also talked about how they impact your students because you're a role model to your students, whether you like it or not. I think many times we don't like hearing this as teachers. It sort of puts a pressure on us that we don't really like. And so we can't help it. It's important that we know that we're constantly under the radar and we have to not mess up at all. Okay, so today we're going to take it a step further. How do I improve my pronunciation as a teacher? We talked about the introductions last week. Today, let's talk about evaluating, which is an important aspect of improving. You've said, okay, you've admitted that you want to improve. You've admitted that your pronunciation needs improvement. Now, what next? Evaluating. And what does this mean? It means you're going to take a sit, not literally, but you're going to take a sit and find out from yourself how you sound, the areas you okay. So don't be like, I'm trying to just, okay, we're on. Isn't it crazy? I have absolutely no idea where you lost me. Oh, okay, thing like a minute ago. So I'm just trying to take you back. Okay. And my isn't that bad? Okay. Okay, so let's just go on. So I stopped at what we did last week, right? So this week, We're going to be looking at the next step, which is evaluating yourself. Now, you know that is important to improve your pronunciation. You know that you're a role model. You know that impressions matter. Right about now, it's about evaluating yourself. So this means taking a sit, not literally, but taking a sit to find out what areas you find troubling or you're weaker in and how to strengthen those areas. For example, I'll use myself as an example. I find pronunciation, English phonics really easy. It's my go-to anytime, any day. But a few years ago, I think 2, 3 years ago, I just sat down to say to myself, are you as strong as you are in phonics, in grammar and vocabulary? And I thought not. And what I did is I made conscious effort to go into those areas that I was not strong or as strong as, improve them, like my grammar and vocabulary. In the same way also, you have to make that evaluation of yourself. What area am I weak in? Is it pronunciation? Is it grammar? Is it vocabulary? Do I find new words scary? I know of some people who run away literally from new words. They're like, no, 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 no. Don't speak big grammar. Let it go, right? But we ought not to give up, but we ought not to do that. You ought to welcome new words into your vocabulary. You ought to be open-minded and not closed up to or closed off to new words. Now, how do you evaluate? Practically, how do you evaluate? First of all, you have to do a mental search. I call it a mental search. Now, let me explain what I mean using something else that I do personally. Now, I have other things that I do apart from teaching offline and online, and many times we have milestones and achievements that we've accomplished, and it's very easy for us to let those things we've accomplished hold us back. And it's very unwise because when you let those things get into your head or let those things hold you back, you would not make any real progress anymore. So what I do basically is I do a mental reset in a way that I can't really explain, but I do a mental reset and tell myself, you know what, Ruth, you might have achieved this. You might have come this far, but you just have to let all of that go. Like, it's not important anymore. It's important, don't get me wrong, but you have to let all of that go so that you can forge ahead, so that you can make some more progress. Right, so let's bring it back to English and pronunciation generally. So let's say you're speaking okay. Let's say you think you have a level of expertise in pronunciation. Let's let all of that go. I was just reading a book a few minutes ago, and the first thing that I saw in that book was, do not assume you know anything about the subject matter. Just approach it like you know nothing, like you know nothing, right? And that is an excellent way to evaluate yourself. Now look at your past, successes and how well you've been able to pronounce words until now, and let all of that go. Tell yourself, okay, I think I need to improve in this area. I don't care where I am. It's all about how to move forward. So it could be grammar, vocabulary, phonics, whatever area it is. Ensure that you give yourself that brutality. It's important. It's important. So evaluate yourself. Now, another way you can evaluate yourself is by asking for feedback from people who will be honest with you and not people who will pamper you. Right. I once had an experience with a friend, or I'll call it a colleague or an acquaintance, who was very known for being brutally honest. Like, she'll tell you, like, this is it. And there were areas in my life that I needed to improve in, and she did not mince words. I think those are we should always like around us. Now, I'm not talking about fault finding or making you feel like a bad person, or making you feel worse, or going to improve, you're never going to improve, you're bad and all that. No, This is people who point out to you that this is where you're lacking and this is where you need to improve. And so the next stage of evaluation for you can be to meet up with someone who you're close to, who's maybe an expert in the area that you want to improve in, and ask for reviews, ask for opinion. How do you think I speak? How do you think I sound? Do you think my grammar is okay? And be open-minded for brutal feedback. Because many times it's not funny. We think we're all that, and then we meet someone who just tells us, blah, nothing, rubbish. Such a crazy. Okay, so after doing that, if you want to take it a step further, you can get a language teacher, an English pronunciation teacher, to evaluate for you, to evaluate how you sound, so that you know the exact area or level. I think level is the word, because the different levels in English, there's the A1, the A2, the B1, the B2, the C1, the C2, I think. And for you to know the area, the particular level you are on, is important to have this evaluation so that you know to the best approaches and steps to improve. And I would highly recommend you get a language tutor who has experience in tutoring people and helping them grow, become better, develop yourself or develop themselves. And when you're evaluated or you get the results, what you can do is then take the next steps I'm going to talk about in the next live session. Take those steps to improve and become better. You can also, this is a bonus, you can also take English language tests to evaluate your level of, whatever area you want to improve on. And it could also be your language skills, your listening. You feel, oh my God, I'm not listening well enough. Or I don't write well enough. Or I'm not reading as I ought to read. Reading is important, I tell you. Because in this era, or era, a social media is crazy, man. Like, it's crazy because social media is just all out there coming at us, and we just have to be constantly shielded. Like, shield yourself. Read a lot of books, man. Okay, so I think that's all for today. We've talked about evaluation, evaluate yourself, and when you evaluate yourself, you know the progress that you should make. You know the right roadmap to use for your progress and your journey. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for coming to my live. And if you're not going to watch this, if you're not watching this now, since you're watching later, don't forget to give me a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next live session. I remain Ruth. Bye for now.